All right, we'll give people a few minutes to join. In the meantime, does anyone have any agenda items for today? Any?
Hi,
Yeah. Yes, go ahead.
yes, Joe, this is Asim. So
Hey.
I sent email as well that we have Josh here from World Tech IT team. So he will be introducing World Tech IT, what they do, and they are like very energetic and want to contribute in OPI. We'll have introduction of World Tech IT today.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, so my mail system did something bizarre. That's why I didn't see that email. So when I search on you, I see that you sent something, but it won't open it. It refuses. It says mail item not found. So it could have put it in the quarantine folder,
No problem.
something
So
like that. I was like, how did I miss that? And then I'm like, so I did, a global search, and it's like it pops up. I'm like, oh, there it is, and I just must have just missed it. And I click on it. It's like, oh no, you can't see that. You're not allowed to see a thing from a scene for whatever reason. I don't know. Okay,
all right, no
no
problem.
worries.
It was Yes, it was actually about the same that we'll have introduction of the World Tech IT team.
Yeah, no,
So
that
they are actually
we're good. We're good on all that. It's just I was trying to figure out why it didn't. Anyway,
all right, all right, all right,
we're all set. We're great.
all right, all
Okay.
right. So please just let us know that when we should start. So, Josh, you could hear us, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Also have
Yeah.
Austin on as well, who's our CTO.
Excellent.
Or
Hey,
yes,
nice to meet you guys. All right. Any other topics before we get started? All right, you guys take it away. You want
all
to
right.
share?
So,
All right.
You want to share screen or
Yeah.
we talk?
I think we'll just talk unless Austin, you have something you want to show the guys around some of our background, etc. I'll do a quick intro and then hand it over to Austin to talk about World Tech IT. So we got introduced to this project via our friends over at F5. We were up in Seattle talking to Joel quite a bit. And he was like, hey, you guys should see what we're doing here with some of the future facing technology, et cetera, especially from the viewpoint that we do a lot with F5 customers to enable them with new technologies, et cetera. So getting in front of anything new that's coming so that we can help these customers operationalize it is always a net benefit to both of us. And with that, I'll let Austin talk about WorldTech IT, what it is that we do, and then I can talk about what we're looking to do with you guys and how we're looking to contribute to the project.
Excellent. Thanks, Josh. This is Austin Geraci, CTO over at WorldTech IT. Yeah, so we are a very different, I even hesitant to call us a value-added reseller, but that's a category we're in technically. But we've taken a much different approach. So opposed to your typical CDW, Presidio, and insert big VAR here, we don't specialize in try to sell every technology under the sun. We really just focus in application delivery and specifically F5. Of course, there's a ton of technology that complements F5, automation orchestration tools, all the public clouds. We definitely work in those, but we don't go to market and offer services, generally around that. It's everything around F5 and laced with those technologies to complement F5. So we're very much an engineering first organization versus, a sales shop. Though on the flip side, we sell a ton of F5. So we're at the platinum partner status now. We just crossed that threshold. So we sell a ton and we do a ton of work specifically around F5. So we have a lot of boots on the ground delivering high level service. We have close to 30 engineers these days, all expert level. We don't have any green engineers. And we also make software around F5 to enhance and optimize it. Monitoring, alerting, observability, tooling, all sorts of fun stuff. So when we were chatting with F5 up at their headquarters a few weeks back, or it's probably a couple months now, Joel had brought up the OPI project and that they're really lacking folks that are close to the customers that could actually implement some of the ideas or identify opportunities where we could try to bring this into fruition more into the commercial space. So that's really our goal, is to, get in with you folks, understand what's, where you're headed with the project, add value where we can, but ultimately we're looking to help bridge the gap between where you folks are developing these solutions, coming up with options to start taking advantage of some of this new technology, and we can get it in front of customers and actually implement it and start getting you guys some real world scenarios and feedback. I'm in Austin, Texas. We're HQ'd out of Austin, Texas. Most of our folks are across America. We have a few folks in Canada now that are some of our first hires, why we expand in that direction. But yeah, great to be meeting everybody today. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to field them.
Yeah, and I'd just also like to mention that we're also a Red Hat partner, and we do have a subsidiary / sister company, however you want to look at it, that does the same thing we do in the F5 space, but in the Red Hat space. Now, a lot of the focus, especially when we talk to Joel about this, is probably going to blur the lines between those two parts of our organization, but definitely stuff we're ultimately interested in.
Yeah, and what actually makes them stand out is that they are one of the biggest end user portfolio, and they are working with very diverse hardware that we can actually leverage from their experience and their customer experience, actually first-hand customer experience actually.
Yeah, and so where we were thinking of getting started is, first looking at what you guys have in the lab. How do you initialize the hardware, do some stuff with it. I did look through some of the notes and stuff. Looks like the folks from Red Hat have done some work around running Nginx on some of these high-end, IPUs, DPUs, whatever you want to call these, fancy NICs. So that's probably where we'd start to look, just given our background with Nginx solutions and stuff with Red Hat. But ultimately, anywhere that looks like it's going to be a good fit with some of the problems our customers are trying to solve is where we're going to look and see how we how we can operationalize that and get it in end users' hands, make it consumable, etc. That's really the value we hope to add, just given our expertise in that a lot of the work we do is boots on the ground in complex environments, making complicated technologies easy for these customers to consume.
Yeah, excellent. And if you want to know anything about the lab, Murcia is your guy who's on the call. So Murcia Dan George and Boris Glimsher, who's not on the call, but those two guys are your first point of contact for the lab, but there are a bunch of others. You know, Mark Sanders is on the call, works in the lab.
Paul Pindell as well.
Paul Pindell, that's right. Works on the lab, very active. And there are others.
Yeah, okay, so I'll share the email addresses of these guys, and they're actually also interested in helping us reaching to the customers. They also want to interact with our outreach team and also want to see that what we have already working in the secure zero touch provisioning as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, anything that we're actually doing, as opposed to just talking about, is in the GitHub. So the GitHub repos have basically all of the information other than kind of our outward facing promotional decks. Those are, those are in a Google Docs set of folders. So yeah, that sounds good. I mean, your background is great. Like the interest and enthusiasm, like the bridge to what customer, the sort of the direct customer deployment, customer interaction. The outreach committee meets on Tuesday mornings and is run by, Paul Pindell, who's often here but not here this time. And the use case group meets roughly every other Thursday. Just after this meeting, there's not a call today. And then there's lifecycle and provisioning on Tuesday and an API on Thursday, and they meet every other to 3 out of 4 weeks, depending on the topics needed. And then this call averages about 90% in this time slot on Thursdays. And if you have any practical, like, hey, we want to bring this in and start a new repo or add a bunch of things to an existing repo, you can come in and explain it here, and we can then approve it and say, yep, you're good to go. And we welcome a variety of projects even on the same topic, because we've got, we know there's not just one way to do things, and do things. And so anybody else want to add anything or ask any questions?
Yeah, hi, Simon. I'm from Red Hat. I will try to follow up on the Red Hat side and see how we might be able to work together better there. So if you want to reach out to me privately, that would help. Thanks.
Yeah, certainly. I'll drop you an email after we wrap this call.
Perfect. Thank you.
If you wouldn't mind, could you drop your email in chatter or something, or
Yeah.
just shoot me an email? It's really easy, josh@worldtechit.com. Either way is good for me.
I'll drop you an email. Thanks, Josh.
Perfect.
Excellent. So yeah, so I think the best the best way to use this to your advantage, if you have any solutions that you are looking for customers that were interested in them, whether it's a type of customer or type of solution, and maybe, we can share what some folks might be into that would align with that. I think that's how we can help you most quickly. Um, I know Josh has been talking with some customers about the possibility of running Nginx close to the edge, around some inferencing, around some Gen AI pieces. So yeah, if you have anything that you're looking to try to get into the real world and start getting feedback, just let us know and we'll see where we can help.
Yeah, and I guess I neglected to fully introduce myself at the start of the call. So I lead up our entire solutions architecture and engineering team. I used to previously lead a number of our service delivery teams, the guys doing work day in and day out in customer environments, as well as I'm involved in a lot of our internal product development efforts, the software we're developing, solutions we're developing, etc.
Yeah, this all sounds excellent, and we'd love your assessment of the elements that we do have, and where, especially we'd love an assessment of where you think the biggest bang for the buck is on common code across all DPUs and IPUs. Right. So if we had given that you guys actually deploy and care and feed for these things in a diverse set of real situations. But
yeah, absolutely. We definitely plan to start digging in, seeing, taking a deeper look at everything that's in GitHub today. And then, of course, once we have access to the lab, just looking at some of the stuff, getting our eyes on it, and then, yeah, absolutely looking at what's there, how that might fit into how some of our customers are looking to solve problems today, as well as, like Austin mentioned, if you guys have anything that you're looking for feedback from real organizations out there in the field playing with technologies. We've got a repertoire of customers up and down the spectrum, all verticals, almost all sizes. Of course, some folks are too small to afford F5 technology, but minus that barrier of entry, everywhere from the smallest kind of F5 customers to the largest enterprise consumers with hundreds of the things and large scale Nginx deployments, integrations with Kubernetes, etc.
So I'll throw out a question. I mean, in this forum, we tend to be a little more vendor focused because we have a lot of vendor members or who make DPUs and IPUs. So you guys are sort of a different side of the market where you're much more application and customer focused. So what kind of buzz or activity are you seeing around the DPU IPU space? Can you give us any insight into that?
Yeah, so we're seeing, and it depends on the customer that you're talking to, right? What their vertical is, their size, etc. A lot of folks are interested in, just from their point of view, right? This is an evolution of smart NIC technology. A lot of folks now are comfortable with some of the Intel, like the Intel 800 cards that can offload a number of things. And in their mind, this is just an evolution of that. And a lot of them are asking questions of like, well, what can I do with this thing? Why do I want to buy one of these things? And so that's kind of the gap that we've got to bridge for more of these, what I'll call mainstream consumers, right? The enterprises that IT serves a business function and they don't push the envelope. They're not looking at cutting edge solutions. They just need to solve problems. Like getting them solutions that actually that show them value is what's going to bridge the gap there for them to start, wanting to buy these things.
Yeah, honestly, I being transparent, there's going to be a bit of education needed. I think a very small number of folks have their heads around that these even exist, and that the hyperscalers have been using them for some time now. So that's part of what we want to accomplish, is really lead the charge on the marketing front to bridge the gap from conceptual to real life, and really get folks' heads around it to start having aha moments and start putting the pieces together. Because I think we have an education problem right now, and that folks don't really know they exist. And if they know they exist, they know they exist in the context of, oh, that's, you know, an NVIDIA is going to use those type deal, right? So I think a big part of what we can bring to the table is help explain that story simply and jump that gap with you folks to actually get people to start thinking realistically of using them in their environments.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of a perfect timing because we are seeing a lot of repatriation from cloud and building high performance, we'll just say hyper converged environments, to use a buzzword, either in colo spaces or on-prem, and anywhere any sort of offload functionality can be conferred is typically of a lot of value to these guys. So, you know, as we kick around in the GitHub repos and look at some of the stuff you guys already have or are actively working on, we're definitely going to see how that maps out to what customers are starting to do and see where we can confer the most value in focusing on something.
Yeah, there's change happening right now, right? Because of what happened with VMware and Brocade, it's giving the opportunity to customers to think, right? And whenever there's a change, it opens up doors to multiple solutions. So I think it is good timing why people, you know, like Josh mentioned, a lot of folks are hedging their bets and taking some pieces out of the cloud. We see a lot of folks, you know, who jumped into the cloud head first and quickly figured out it isn't cheaper and it isn't simpler. So we do see a lot of that, and it's not a complete repatriation, right? And I think folks are, you know, definitely bringing things back, but it's not all or nothing, right? But definitely on the virtualization front, you know, where folks were dragging their feet on considering, you know, our containers and Kubernetes, you know, the route for us to go, and is this a virtualization platform we're going to stay on long term with the prices that have gone up so far? So I do think it's good timing because there's change happening. There's opportunity to further educate the customer and get them to consider, you know, options like you guys are developing.
Yeah, so those are motions in the marketplace, repatriation and those things. What kind of problems are they seeing as they try to execute on those motions?
Ooh, big
A lot of
gorillas
it's around,
trying to move.
yeah,
So it's making decisions.
yeah, a lot of the issues that a lot of these folks are facing is optimization, offloading, tuning of these platforms, especially when they start bringing network functions into the virtual world that need high throughput, you know, talking in excess of 10 gigs, 40 gigs, et cetera. You know, some of them are somewhat educated on how to build the right kind of hypervisors from a hardware level, right? Whether that's Intel Smart NICs or even just, you know, good Intel 10 gig NICs, et cetera. But they're not real great at tuning or building these solutions. You know, if you want to run any flavor of KVM with high performance network devices on top of it, there's a bit of tuning that needs to go on there. And a lot of these folks have problems with just putting that together, right? As some of us probably know well, the documentation is not always clean. And unless you've lived in that space and have some experience, it's Greek to a lot of these people, especially coming out of like VMware environments or repatriating things from AWS or Azure, because of that reliance on just either, you know, infrastructure as a service solutions or things like VMware that obfuscated a lot from them. They're having difficulties building their own high performance private clouds.
Yeah, so what I hear is that there's opportunities around providing more of a turnkey set of offload solutions to these people.
Yeah, exactly. Operationalizing this technology.
Yeah.
And that's where we think we can confer the most value to you guys, right? Because that's kind of what we do day in and day out. Even where we're working with cutting edge stuff or developing our own solutions, the name of the game, just like F5's kind of current mission statement, right? If you've seen a lot of their marketing, is make it ridiculously easy. So we kind of aim to do that for our customers, take something that's complex, but can confer a lot of value to them if they can either wrap their head around it or just have turnkey solutions and deliver that to these customers. Because at the end of the day, like I mentioned, most of these enterprise organizations, they don't care that it's cool and fancy and nerd out about it. They just need it to deliver functionality to the business. Now, where we get those customers that love to nerd out about this stuff, right? That's where we get to have a lot of fun. But most of our enterprise customers, they just need things that work. They're simple to consume, or we can make it simple for them to consume, and it delivers all of the, all of the values that they're looking for, whether that's enhanced performance or offloading, so they have more CPUs available for workloads, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, and then one follow-up tangential question I have is, you mentioned this building these private clouds and repatriation. That's, in my mind, at least, speaking mostly to their traditional application estate. But we also see a lot of activity right now around new build-outs focused on AI factories and new use cases around the AI workloads. Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, we're seeing a lot more interest from, again, what I'll call that mainstream enterprise space, right? Not the early adopters that geek out on this stuff around, hey, we've been playing with an OpenAI enterprise subscription or, OpenAI on Azure, some sort of vended solution. Okay, we like what we're seeing here, but we want to run our own models. We want to have tight control over everything. So they're starting to explore, hey, how do I build out the right infrastructure to run these AI workloads, whether that's old school machine learning or Gen AI in the form of LLMs or multimodal models, etc. We're seeing them start to have those discussions or ask those questions. So I think again, it's good timing because most of these folks haven't settled on a solution yet, or if they have, they're just kicking the tires on something. And then again, they have a lot of the same problems that I mentioned from that high performance private cloud perspective. Hey, what kind of hardware do we need to buy? How do we get this hardware? How do we get these things to drive the hardware? How do we make this easier to operationalize? So we've also had some conversation with other groups within F5. How can we use things like distributed cloud or Nginx as an AI gateway, or mixing and matching various F5 technologies to either build infrastructure or be part of that infrastructure story in conjunction with, say, like Red Hat OpenShift, and the right kind of hardware underneath it, right? So we've been having a lot of those conversations, but we view it as still early days. So it's something we're keenly interested and focused on. But a lot of these enterprise customers they're very early to that story, and they're just now doing discovery. So that's another reason we're kind of excited, right, to kick the tires and see what you guys have going on in the various, I'll just call them development workflows or solution development workflows, and see where that also matches up with some of the conversations we're having.
Yeah, the guy kind of came to an interesting conclusion in the last couple of weeks that there are the people who are building initial clusters, as you say, kicking the tires. And because it's like this panic thing, they got budget, they bought hardware, it's been installed, and now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with it. And they haven't really operationalized it yet, so they don't even know the problems they're about to slam into. We can see them because we've been doing networking long enough to say that, hey, that's going to be a problem for you eventually. As soon as you ramp up from 1 gig use cases to 100 gig use cases. But they don't really know yet. It's still so early. They don't even know where things are broken.
Right. Yeah, and we're seeing some of those same things as well, right? As they start playing with different things or throwing large volumes of traffic at it. And they're like, wait a minute, they've kind of run into some of those early problems, or like you said, they don't know it's going to be a problem yet.
Yeah, because they're not operating at scale yet. Okay. It's interesting what's going on out there.
Yeah, we think there's a huge opportunity to help consumers of the technology operationalize it. Because like with anything, right, it doesn't matter what the technology is or who the vendor or vendors in play are. If you can make something easier to consume, you're going to get a lot more market adoption of it.
Well, thanks for your insight, Josh.
Yeah, this is excellent introduction. All right, so let's say get into the GitHub, talk to people. We'll get you, you know, you can get lab access and start working on the equipment we have installed there. And you know, we'll take any discussion, any proposal, any ideas, and give them, you know, proper consideration. So, um, you know, thank you for your interest in joining up, and you know, reach out if you need, you know, to anyone if you need anything.
Yeah, great meeting everybody, and we're looking forward to throwing in and participating here. So we're excited about the technology and excited to sing the same song with you guys and bring this to some end users.
Excellent. All right, any other topics or discussion points for today? Excellent. And then for the topic we had 2 weeks ago, Simon, I assume we'll see a you know, a proposal for the general solution coming in sometime in the next couple or 3 weeks.
It may take a little longer than that, but yes, we're working towards it.
Yeah, that's fair. I should say at some point in the relatively near future, I'll make it more indefinite. I'm not trying to put you on the spot with a schedule, but
No.
I think it's worthwhile to bring in that general proposal.
Yes, it's on our agenda, and
All
I'll let you know when it's ready.
Okay, excellent. All right, anything else from anyone? Okay, well, we'll conclude for today, and we'll talk to everyone next week.
Thanks, folks. Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Yep. Thanks for the warm introduction, guys. Y'all have a great one.